about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad, sponsored by Game Time. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
All right, good morning. Here we go. Cowboys Training Camp is underway, and it is great to be back with you today. Another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Marcus Mosher, crushing it every day with Landon McCool, and our host for the in-season Cowboys postcast and this show as well, former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, coming up on today's show, good morning, guys. We have all kinds of Cowboys news. As I said, training camp is underway. We even have a little Micah Parsons update, but right out of the gate, we knew that this season was going to be a fight for the Cowboys, right, to kind of get back to where they want to go. And so far, that is literally what they are doing, fighting training camp 2 days in a row. To be,
are you talking about the players in the front office or
yes,
the players on the field? I was just curious.
That too, right. So yeah, what do you think? I like it. I like the spirit and the passion out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know Coach's thoughts on this, but part of me, I mean, I understand like you want these to be spirited and emotional practices, but I think CeeDee Lamb was kind of annoyed by it yesterday in his post-practice press conference. He said, "Hey, we got to be professionals. We've got stuff to do, and we can't waste our practice time fighting each other." So, Coach, I would love your thoughts. Like, as a coach, did you like it when your players got into these fights? What was your thoughts?
Scuffles.
Is that what both of you are calling this, a fight?
Well, we had somebody.
Yeah, and let me help you out. It's a bunch of belly butt. So a bunch of guys butt and bellies. I mean, we know that there is pressure in the NFL to win. We know that this Cowboys staff is a very high energy, squirt your water bottle, blow your whistle. Yeah, get your motor running. Okay, have you had your monster energy? I mean, to me, this is probably why I'm on here talking to you guys instead of coaching, is that I think a lot of that is just like it's just riffraff to me. It's just things that don't really matter at the end of the day. Are we creating a more conducive learning environment? Because that's what we're out there to do. We're out there to get away from the Metroplex. We're out there to, stay in a 50-year-old Marriott property that's maybe been renovated beside an old landfill, and we're trying to create some, synergy with our players. And is what we're doing conducive to getting our team in a learning environment? I would much more anticipate that kind of thing where you see guys scuffle when you have joint practices, and you do everything you can to keep from doing that. But I mean, do you like your players to have a little shit in their neck? Yes. Yeah. You want to have some of that. You want to have some of that banter back and forth. You want to have, when CeeDee Lamb steps up to go one-on-one, you want to have one of your younger corners say, you know what, I want to take this rep. I want to put myself in position here at every one of the positions, that are on the field. So I don't have a problem with the guy who, banters a little bit, and I don't have a problem with, someone who takes offense to it. I can't say this enough. I'm a guy that believes in talking with your helmet and your shoulder pads. Don't get on the radio bumping your gums about nothing. I mean, to me, that just, or get in a practice situation where you're just, hey, you got something to say, go ahead and say it. But I'll tell you, I mean, my favorite saying all the time, and that was at whatever level I've coached at, don't start any SH and there won't be no IT. I mean, it's that simple.
I think the other thing that we should talk about with these fights that happen is, I mean, Coach, and you can talk about this from even the early 2000s, like there's just a lot less practice time now than there were 20, 30 years ago, right? So you've got to be really efficient with your practice time. I mean, the days of two-a-days are completely gone, right? So if you're having to spend 5 to 10 minutes of an hour and a half practice trying to break up a fight and get everybody settled down, you're just wasting everybody's time. And we don't have a lot of time to waste here. So I understand there's people out there that think, hey, this is how you get a more, physical, tough team, is by not encouraging these fights, but, maybe letting them go a little bit longer than they need to. But I think at the end of the day, it's time that's wasted that you can't get back.
Yeah. Again, we know that time is really precious that you got on the field. And if you're not taking that time to teach, and you're not taking that time to grow, and you're not taking that time to get better, then you're right. And put it in whatever category you want to put it in.
All right. Well, just to let everybody know, on day one, it was Brevin Spanford and rookie Donovan Ezeraku going at it. And then yesterday, safety Marquise Bell did throw a punch, and it inadvertently hit a fellow corner, Troy Pride, in the neck, and he had to go down. I would, one other side of this that I wanted to run by both of you. First-year head coach Brian Schottenheimer, I think he echoed what you both just said about, hey, we got to be smart, we got to be pros. But to me, when you have a new coach and a coaching staff, right, I like the fact that Schottenheimer has said, hey, this is going to be a physical training camp. And I like the fact that, at least here early on, that the guys are buying in, rather than you could have a scenario where you have guys that, well, this is a new coach and we don't, we're going to kind of do our own thing. But the fact that they're trying to please the staff, trying to be physical, trying to set a new tone and a new culture, that they're buying into that. I like that. I hope that part of it continues. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You don't want it to become a trend in these practices, because again,
Right.
You only have so many of these practices, and you want things to be under control and not wild. So yes, it's nice to see that there's, the energy is high in these practices, but Shotty's got to make sure that his group is under control so they can get things done.
All right. So tell me, Marcus, what first couple of days, I know you guys have been doing winners and losers and different things. What are you guys focusing on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast?
Yeah, well, I'm going to preface this by saying, when we call these guys winners and losers, please take it with like a massive grain of salt, because they're not doing any padded work. There's no tackling. So it's all based on more who we're seeing line up where and what team they're running with. So I just want to preface all of that. But yeah. I think one of the guys that has really stood out is Donovan Ezeraku, the Cowboys' second-round edge rusher from Boston College. I was watching some of the 11-on-11 drills yesterday, and he would have had at least 2 sacks at 11-on-11 and maybe another one that would have been pretty close. You can see his speed is evident. I mean, he moves so well. And Matt Eberflus was using him on some stunts. There were a couple times where he was lined up as like a linebacker, blitzing the A-gap. He's just a really fun player that I'm excited to see once we get into the preseason. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has a bigger role as a rookie than maybe we anticipated, because you're already seeing him have a big impact against some pretty good offensive linemen out there.
Yeah, moving guys into a position where they can be successful, whether that's off the ball, whether it's on the ball, whether it's wherever that is, those are things that you want to see, and those are things that obviously the staff has already talked about and they believe in, is putting this young man in position that fits his skill set. That's what you want to do. You want to get your guys in position to go make plays. And if wherever that's at, I mean, they obviously drafted this young man early in the second round, or, kind of relatively early in the second round, because they felt like he was one of the top, 50 players to come out in this draft. So put him in a position that gives him the chance to go be successful and gives him a chance to contribute. Here's the other thing. When you can put, when you can put that speed and let your offensive lineman see that speed and see his ability to do that. I mean, the last I checked, every NFL team has multiple guys like that who can move around. And so all that does is really help you offensively to be able to see all that's going on. And that's the one thing that I'm hearing from my people that are out there, is that this offense is getting the kitchen sink thrown at them. They're getting
which is great. That's great, by the way.
Imaginable look. They're getting all kinds of stunts. They're getting all kinds of blitzes. And once you get everything kind of thrown at you offensively, you're gonna look kind of rough early. I mean, it's not going to be very pretty. But when you can throw it all at them and then slow the game down for them, where now they read and they recognize and they feel what's going on, they can see it on film, and you can become a student of the game and understanding both sides of the football. I mean, I like a guy offensively who can tell me what's going on defensively, and I like vice versa. I like a guy on defense who can tell me what he thinks the offense is going to do by splits or formation or whatever the scenario is. So all of that learning and those learning curves, that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I thought there were some cool things that Matt Eberflus was doing with Donovan Ezeraku. So, like, one of the things was on a third down period, they had Dante Fowler and Ezeraku lined up, or maybe it's Sam Williams. Sam Williams and Ezeraku lined up on the same side. Sam Williams was the edge rusher, and he went way around the corner, and that opened up a lane for Tyler Booker to go against Ezeraku one-on-one. And Ezeraku, because he's so dynamic and he's so flexible, able to duck around Booker and get the sack. You're just seeing some cool concepts from Eberflus to try to get these guys matched up one-on-one in some favorable matchups. And we could talk about Tyler Booker if you want to, but that's the kind of thing that you want to see from your defensive coordinator and from your second-round pick.
Yeah, and I mean, that's every defensive coordinator, guys, I don't care which one you talk about, has their little bag of tricks where they try to get their better players matched up on who they think your lesser players are. That's the game within the game. And so, excuse me, if we run a stunt or we stem guys, which we're just moving from one gap to another gap to get a guy in position to get a matchup, that's what you want. It's no different than what Mike Zimmer did a year ago when and what he did in Minnesota, which is, he's a big A gap blitz guy, and he widen his tackles out and bring the linebackers in and twist them around and get somebody on your center who he felt like could beat your center to the quarterback. So nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with showing a rookie who came out and said, "Hey, I'm all about whatever it was, that all that talking and all that." This is where it bites you in the ass, where Booker came out and said, "Well, I'm this and I'm that." And then all of a sudden, 2 days into training camp, you get yourself exposed. Now it kind of dials you back a little bit, kind of makes you think, boy, hey, this game's a little faster than I thought it was. And then that's when the learning can take place.
Yeah.
Jeff, I got another guy that I wanted to mention that has been having a really good camp, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that after we get back from our break.
Yeah. All right. And also, Coach, I have just one quick question about what we were just discussing. So we'll do that when we return. Nice setup though, Marcus. That was outstanding.
I've done this only 2,000 times, but it's fine.
He is the host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. Be sure and check that out each and every day. We'll get into more news and notes. Also, we do have a little bit of Micah Parsons news as well. That's coming up on the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, I don't know about you, but it's that time, and this episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy, and fantasy football is back. Maybe you're getting ready for your draft. Fire up the group chat, get your draft board ready, and buckle up for a season filled with breakouts, busts, and all the overreactions we live for. It's all going down on Yahoo Fantasy. Now, I'm in a league. My daughter and some coworkers and a couple guys from church and my Bible study group were playing on Yahoo Fantasy in one of my leagues, and you should too, whether you're a first timer or a veteran making your millionth league. To celebrate 20 years of fantasy greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days, giving you more ways to play, more ways to draft, and more ways to win. It all begins on August 4th. So stay tuned. Get started creating or joining a Yahoo Fantasy League at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. That's yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And let's make this fantasy season the best one yet. Sounds good. We need to get the Squad Show Fantasy League going.
Well, I got to ask, Coach. Have you? I mean, I already know the answer to this, but Coach, have you ever played in a fantasy league before? Do you know how fantasy football works? Let me ask you that. Okay, that's it. That's my it.
Do you want to? Are you really asking me that?
I would love for you to play in a fantasy league this year. It'd be great.
Well, before we get going anymore, you see, let me see.
Are you on TikTok now?
I'm on it.
Yes,
there we
let's
go.
There Cannot we go.
Wait. So you can go and buy yourself one of those $10 scratch and sniff tickets.
I can't wait.
You peer pressured me to getting on to TikTok. Absolute peer pressure job.
Yeah, now we're gonna get you playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, so this is gonna be great. I can't wait.
No. Just a minute. You know what I mean? You're one of those guys that, hey, give them an inch, they want to take a mile.
Exactly.
No.
You're right.
No, I'm not getting on that.
All right. So, Jeff, I want to talk about a guy that I've been impressed with again through 2 days of practice. So,
yeah,
with the greatest salt. But KaVontae Turpin has been somebody that they've used in a lot of different ways. And that's honestly what I look for in these early practices is how are guys being used? Where are they playing? We've seen KaVontae Turpin get carries as a traditional running back with Dak Prescott in the first team offense. We've seen him line up in the slot. We've seen him be used a lot. And again, I know he's 5'8" and he's 165 pounds, and you're never going to make him the focal point of your offense. But I do wonder if the Cowboys are envisioning a role where he gets 4 or 5 touches a game. You go back and you look at Brian Schottenheimer's history. He was with the Rams when they drafted Tavon Austin, and go look at some of the things that Schottenheimer did when he was the offensive coordinator with Tavon Austin. And this is where I think Shotty, if you listen to his press conference before training camp started, he was so disappointed in Turpin's arrest this offseason because I think he's got a big plan for Turpin this year. And the fact that he had this arrest makes it maybe he feels like he can't completely trust him off the field. And that was kind of the knock on Turpin even coming into the NFL. But I've loved what they've been doing with Turpin. I love that they've given him some traditional RB carries. And he's somebody that I'm going to be watching early in the season to see what type of role he has.
When you can return punts, when you can return kicks, the first thing that tells you about a player is that they run with their eyes. They don't have to necessarily have a certain, what you would say, hey, get on this track or run this path or whatever the case may be. I personally, whether I'm scouting and looking at a guy or I'm coaching a guy, I want someone who runs with their eyes. And you can tell, excuse me, when a guy can do that to his level, then you combine that with his speed. I mean, it's, he can be a dangerous weapon. The problem is, like you said, is he's so little, and there are times when not only do you have to use him to get him the ball, but you also kind of have to use him as a decoy, where defenses are aware of where he is on the field. So all of those things, to me, do make him, and give him some credibility on a football team where you want to be able to put the ball in his hands. And I'm like you. I mean, I like the fact that let's come up with ways to get him more touches. And, it's almost like a situation where I challenge the defense.
Yep.
Because guess what? If we can stop them, he gets an opportunity to get the ball in his hands.
And you're never going to make him, again, your future running back because he's 155-ish pounds, right? But if you're worried about your running back situation, giving him 3 or 4 touches can just help add an explosive element to your game. But I would also say you're right about making him a decoy. So if you saw the CeeDee Lamb touchdown that he had yesterday in 11-on-11, that was a screen to the right side where CeeDee just kind of a traditional wide receiver screen. But they actually flared KaVontae Turpin out to the left, like the screen was going to go to him. And if you watch that play, everybody starts following KaVontae Turpin because they're used to him getting the ball in those situations. And that's what set CeeDee up to have a big lane on the screen. So I do think he's going to be a part of this offense. I don't think he's just going to be some gadget player. But again, they've got to be able to trust him on and off the field. And I think that's why Shotty was so disappointed with some of the off-field nonsense this year.
And being able to get him the ball on the perimeter like that, if you see the box loaded up, you see defensively, I'll go back to what we were just talking about. If you're able to read and recognize what's going on, and you see, hey, they're blitzing here, it's loaded up, and you can check to, an opportunity to get either CD or Turpin the football. I mean, that doesn't get any better than that. So let's say either one of those guys is in the slot and you see it coming and you want to throw an inside out wide receiver screen. Jeff Biggs, get a damn pen. Here comes the clinic. Don't stand there scratching your ass. When you
right.
if they're going from the inside out, that's you're basically checking to a bubble. If he's on the outside in, you can check to a tunnel. So inside out is bubble, outside in is tunnel. I'll send you the invoice after it's over with. Don't stand there scratching.
I like it.
I love it when we get coaching points. That's great. It's go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say that on the flip side of that, generically speaking, Coach, when you have a player like Turpin and you want to use him and you want to run special plays, the only problem is that when he doesn't come in at all and until maybe play in the second half, I mean, obviously the opposing defense is, oh, wait, hey, there's that guy Turpin. So how do you make it work without?
Well, I would say that's why it's important that he continues to develop as a pure receiver, right? So that way you can rotate him in with Jalen Tolbert and George Pickens and give those guys a breather. So that situation doesn't play out when number 9's on the field, everybody has got their ears perked up because it's a gadget play. If he can continue to develop as a route runner and, again, play a handful of snaps as a traditional receiver, it won't be that big of a deal when he gets one of these touches.
Yeah, and or if he gets hurt, right? I mean, you let's say you spend a lot of practice time, and this is where guys and coaches have to manage that practice time, because you can't spend too much time on that when you got so many other things that you want to put in, and that's that's where I look to see and would like to see. I'd almost like to see Deuce Vaughn, and I don't know if Deuce Vaughn has that same, hey, run with your eyes. He showed it at Kansas State that he did, but you'd like to see him kind of have a little bit of that, or take a little bit of that responsibility and take some of that role. If you were to lose a guy like that, then you could put, maybe you could put Deuce out there in the slot, or you could put him outside where he can, you could try to get him the football, because that's become the answer, recently in the league. Is forever it was, let's see if we can, if they're bringing us, say a 6 or 7 man pressure, can we get enough guys to where we can match up and block up a 6 or 7 man pressure? And then in the last few years, you've seen guys say, hey, go ahead and bring that. And instead of us trying to protect it, it's going to be a catch and throw right now where we get the ball to the perimeter. And you see quarterbacks not even grabbing the laces. They're just catching it, slinging it out there. And so that is something that has become a trend, and it's worked. And so defensive coordinators fear you getting the ball to the really fast guys on the perimeter. So to me, Turpin brings that. He brings that quality to you.
And can I just talk about Deuce Vaughn for a second? Because I did see some nice clips of him in training camp. I think the difference between Vaughn and Turpin, both of these guys are extremely quick. I actually think Deuce Vaughn would be like the greatest flag football player of all time, because he's so low to the ground and he's so hard to touch. But the problem is he just doesn't have the long speed that Turpin has. And I think that's the difference. If you give Turpin a lane, he's gone, where Deuce Vaughn's more of a 4.55 guy. And when you're 160 pounds and you don't have the power to break tackles, you kind of need to have that long speed. He just doesn't have it.
No, there's no question. But we've also talked about putting guys in position to use their qualities. So I'm for getting him the ball in, at 3rd and 6 to 8 situation, where you can, you can get him to draw, you can get him to swing, you can get him out in space, knowing, he's not going to hit the home run for you, but I mean, he can keep the chains moving.
Well, he reminds me of like Lance Dunbar.
I think it's a big year for Deuce Vaughn. It's a big year. I mean, are they going to show that he can really go make this football team, or we need to use that number as another running back?
He reminds me a little bit of Lance Dunbar. I think it was 2014, 2015 when Dunbar would come on the field in these passing situations, and Romo did a really good job of just dumping the ball underneath, and you could get 5-6 yards whenever you wanted to. If Deuce Vaughn could develop into that type of player, that would be a massive win for the Cowboys.
Yeah. And I like too what you both have said, but getting back to Turpin for a minute, for lack of a better, the first one that pops into my mind is Deebo Samuel. The way that the 49ers find a way to get him, or now he's with the Commanders, but quickly getting him in open space and getting him the ball quickly, and just letting him having a room where he can use his speed and try to create a one-on-one mismatch or a big play, something like that. Just quick hit and let his talent and speed make the play.
Yeah, he's a really good player. So I'm curious to see what Brian Schottenheimer can do to get him more involved in the offense. And again, I want to stress, he's never going to be one of these guys that's getting 8 to 10 touches a game, but 4 to 5, I think that's very realistic. And I think that would fit well with what they currently have on that side of the ball.
Yeah. All right. Well, for the record, KaVontae Turpin spoke with the media yesterday and vowed to learn from the incident during the offseason. I say that not to rehash it, but to give credit. We talked about the incident and want to give him credit for handling it the way that he is. He said, quote, at the end of the day, man, I got to be better. Me and Shotty, we had a great conversation, and we're in a great place right now. At the end of the day, I've just got to be better. I've got to be better with my off the field issues. So sounds like he got the message for sure.
Hopefully.
All right. When we come back, gotta mention, we got to do the Micah mention, so we'll get into that as well. Also, I don't know if he made the daily list, but there is a player, Marcus, that I wanted to run by you that I've heard a couple good things about. So we'll do that when we come back. That's Marcus Mosher along with the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, and this is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, well, if you ever wish managing your money felt easier with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, your investments, and spending in one place. So it's, in addition to managing your money, you are also building wealth. And if you share finances with someone, it really does help you stay on the same page. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Okay, welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. Marcus Mosher, the coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, nothing really too new here. We're just kind of counting down until the Micah Parsons deal gets done. I know the week started, and Marcus, you and Landon kind of hit on it. We did Monday night, kind of the Jerry Jones news conference and the GM. And the only, I guess, new news is, I mean, to Micah's defense, I mean, when they're going to ask him about it, I mean, what is he going to say? I mean, he's discouraged that the deal is not done yet, but I mean, it's kind of a given, right? Of course, he wants to get it done. But aside from that, are you guys okay with, I mean, he's there, he's kind of holding in, but seems like he is still engaged.
Coach, why don't you go first? Because I've got a lot of thoughts. I want to make sure that you got time here. Go ahead.
What if I don't want to ride in the front car of the runaway mine train? I don't want to ride up front. I don't want to get up front.
Do you want me to go? I've got no problem going in on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, are you tall enough to get on the runaway mine train? You gotta be 5'3" to get on the damn thing. I don't know if KaVontae can get on it.
No, probably not.
You know, here's I'm just going to throw this out there because I try to look at things from a very every prism that I can look for them. I'm just asking. We know that, and I'm asking this because I think I know what I saw Jerry do at the table when I saw him talk about paying the price that he's paying for what feels like. And let me preface this by saying this is going to make this a lot easier if the Cowboys win 11 or 12 games to get on here weekly. So I'm for that. But here's how and what I know, that at the end of the day, that they air condition the desert for a reason. That's because they know what they're talking about out there. And this team is listed as an 7.5 to 8 win team. All right.
I think we're up to 8.5 now.
Okay. All right. Woo. All right. We're almost. We're. You're saying at 8.5 that Vegas has them as a 500 football team.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry, being the gambler he is, has got the highest paid quarterback. He has the highest paid wide receiver, and he's about to have the highest paid non-quarterback in the league for a team that people say is a 500 football team. To me, that's the equivalent of being in a poker game with a pair of sixes. You've got an average hand, and two people around you have raised. So Pittsburgh's raised by saying, "Hey, we're going to give $41 million to our defensive end." Who knows what Aiden Hutchinson's going to get? I don't think Hendrickson gets in the ballpark of that number. But the point I'm making is, if this carries on a few more days, 3, 4, and let me preface by saying this. Micah Parsons is a generational freak on the defensive side of the ball. But if the phone rings and they want to know what is the cost, what would it take to get Micah Parsons, are you even entertaining the phone call?
Nope.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you're good holding your cards here with what looks like a 500 football team and having 3 of the league's highest paid players on your team.
Yes, I am. Because you don't trade away generational players, right? Like you just don't do it. Here's my issue with the whole thing, Stretch. You and I are both in agreement that we think this deal gets done, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So why go through all this nonsense? Like, we kind of know the number, right? It's going to be around 42 to 43 million per year. We know it's going to be a 4-year deal. They're probably talking about the guarantees. But one of the things that I've heard from fans of this team that have loved this team for a long time is that this kind of nonsense, whether it's with Micah Parsons or CeeDee Lamb last year or Dak Prescott last year, like, we ultimately know how these deals, we know that they're going to get done. Just get them done and stop being a distraction. I think for a lot of fans, this kind of stuff, I want to use a different word, but this kind of stuff has just taken the fun out of training camp and out of the excitement of the Cowboys, because we're on this show today not talking about practice. We're talking about when is Micah Parsons going to get his deal done. We all know that Micah is going to get exactly what he wants. It's just Jerry holding it over him, making it feel like, hey, I'm still the one in control here. I'm going to give you everything you want, but you're just not going to get it when you want it. Micah's wanted to get this deal done for a long time. He's waited. He told us last year that he wanted to get a deal done. He doesn't understand why it's taking them so long. He even said he had his agent call Jerry Jones and they didn't answer, right? Like, he didn't hear back. It's nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. It doesn't need to happen. And this is part of the reason why the Cowboys are such a big distraction every year, is because they have this stupid stuff that goes on that just every other organization avoids.
I'm just telling you that I know how Jerry operates, and I'm telling you that, okay, I'll play along with you. I'll say, okay, let's just say for round number standpoint, 45. He gets 45. So Jerry would then have 60 in a quarterback, 45 in a defensive end, 34 in a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So 170, what is that, 177, something like that, of your salary cap is wrapped up in 3 players. Now, let's just turn the page forward here. And again, I hope this is a 10 or 11 win team. How about they go out and post a 5-12 record? Now what?
Yeah, I mean,
what are you going to tell? What are you going to tell your fan base?
I mean, it probably depends on how the season goes. Did you hire the wrong coach? Did you get the wrong staff in here coaching these guys? Did you do a bad job drafting? Did Mozzie Smith not turn out? Did Tyler Guyton not turn out at left tackle? There's a lot of different ways this can go. But I just know that Micah Parsons, that's an all-pro player. CeeDee Lamb, that's an all-pro player. And Dak Prescott, that's a Pro Bowl quarterback at 3 of the most important positions in the league. I just don't understand why we have to do this song and dance every single training camp.
And I'm just trying to tell you that Jerry is at the end of the day, at the end of all of it, he is a businessman.
Yes,
he has maybe the most relentless work ethic, and I'm talking about that I have ever witnessed. He has I saw it. I mean, I see him. You know, he's on Blue Star Oil and Gas at 5 a.m. I mean, that's when his day starts, and he is dealing with that business, and he looks at this as a business, and he wants to win worse than any other owner out there. I'll say that too. He's all about winning and would do anything to win another Super Bowl. And money's not a factor, but I'm from the school that, and I agree with you. You don't trade away a generational player, but I think you have to look. I think you got to look at every angle and every possibility here. And
but you're right, Coach. You're right. It's just that, let's say that you're open to that. You should have already had your mind made up before we got to training camp. Like, if you were going to trade him, right? Like, trade him.
But hang on here. Did you for 1 second? And you live right next to the team. For 1 second, did you think that T.J. Watt would get north of $40 million?
Yeah, I mean, yes, just because that's what Myles Garrett got. Watt has more sacks. And again, I know that's a bad way to evaluate players, but he's got the same number of Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's the same age. He's got more sacks, and that's just kind of the way these contract works.
I would have never thought that he would have gotten north of $40 million. I would have never believed that. But you know what? That's not to tell Pittsburgh how to mow their backyard. Nope. They can mow their backyard however they want to. But at the end of the day, I think that's what reset all this was that, and we've talked about this. I do think that there was some sort of parameters out there at 4 for 160 set for, or a number around there that had been talked to with Micah. And at the time of that discussion, when he pulled him out of practice and they had that discussion, that was a very realistic number.
Well, this is why a lot of people are getting onto the Cowboys for waiting, though, because if you remember last year, Micah was talking about that he wanted like 30 to 33 million. And if you would have just given him that deal at this time last year, you would have saved yourself $40 million over the course of 4 years. So this is why a lot of people are upset with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and the way they operate. I know that they like to let the leaves fall and have they would rather see multiple years of high-end production before giving a guy a lot of money. But the problem is, after 3 years, we already saw Micah Parsons make 2 All-Pro teams and a Pro Bowl team. What more did you need to see from him at that point?
Nothing. We've already set that. We already know. I mean, we already know the numbers. I'm talking about as far as his on the field numbers.
Yep.
We already know the percentage of time he gets double teamed. We already know how he changes, what an offense does. We know for sure. But the Jones family and Jerry Jones, it's not changing. I mean, and it's not. Do I agree with it all the time? Not, probably not. But they're very patient people with how they methodically go about what they do and how they operate. And so that's not going to change. We can sit here and stomp our feet and put ourselves in timeout over the fact that he didn't do it earlier.
I think it's ultimately going to get done. But I do want to point out that it seems like some of the narrative have shifted a little bit, where you had CeeDee Lamb going up in his press conference talking about, hey, I don't envy anybody trying to get into this media game with Jerry Jones. It's not a fun place to be in. He's talking about how much he hated all the stuff that went on between the Joneses and him last year. You have Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs talking to the media directly on how they feel disrespected and how they don't understand why the Joneses are operating the way that they do. It just feels like the tide has turned a little bit on the organization. And you even had Micah Parsons come out and say, hey, I'm at practice because of my teammates, not Jerry Jones. Jerry has always been one of the most beloved owners in the league, and I still think he is, but it does feel like the tide has shifted a little bit here.
Well, let me ask both of you this, and I mean this sincerely. So what is the holdup? I mean, TJ Watt got his deal. They already had kind of a deal in place. So literally, other than, Coach, what you're saying, maybe you're waiting for an offer for a trade. I mean, what nothing's going to change between now.
No, let me clarify something. I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say they're waiting on an offer for a trade. It's not what I believe at all. I don't think that at all.
Could be potentially.
I said, what if during this dead period, let me specify it again, because we got people who want to jump the gun. What if the phone rang? If the phone rang? What would it take to move the needle for you? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you didn't say that. I'll say it. I'm saying it. Other than me saying this, other than possibly waiting for somebody to call, what are they waiting for? I mean, what's going to change between now and the end of August? I mean, you got a guy.
So you're telling me you think it's 100% on Jerry?
No, I'm just trying. I'm literally trying to understand what is the delay.
What is he waiting for? How do you know it's not David Moglia that's waiting?
Well, we did hear Micah say that he had his agent call the Joneses on Monday and they didn't answer.
Right. Okay. So what would you tell your agent if he called on Monday and they didn't answer, and they didn't call you back on Tuesday, and now it's Thursday? What would you tell your agent?
That's why this whole thing is
Get the speed dial number. Call him again. You know, I mean, to me, this is something that is just about negotiating, and I don't know what either side is waiting on. I really don't. But it takes two people to tango,
yeah,
and so
that's true.
Is it a guaranteed number? I firmly believed, and I still believe, that the number was out there and it got reset by TJ Watt. I'm a firm believer in that, from what I hear and from what I know. And so what is the holdup? I think probably the holdup is a little bit on both sides of what this is. And if Jerry's not answering the phone, then call Steven. And if Steven doesn't answer the phone, then call Todd Williams. And if Todd Williams doesn't answer the phone, they call Will McClay. You need me to go down the damn list to who to call for the Cowboys? I mean, I'll take the agent's fee.
Yeah, I've always believed, you don't jerk around star players. You gotta, there's a time to dance, and then there's a time to step up and kind of go a little bit above and beyond. And so that's my mindset. And I just think you've got big training camp, big season, new culture, big division, Super Bowl champs and the division commanders. Let's just get this done, and let's focus on the football and not have this hanging around every day.
I mean, how many times do you think Jerry stepped into a big year? Every year.
Every year.
Every year. That's right. Yeah. So to him, it's another year.
Yeah.
It's another training camp. It's just another time to go. It's just another time to go out there and sit on the tennis courts in Oxnard and scratch your rear end. It's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing for him. So yeah, I mean, I don't see it being any bigger year than last year or the year before that or 10 years before that. And that's how he looks at it. So I'm not taking a pro one side or the other. I think that I think this deal will get done. And do we have an opportunity to get on here next Thursday to talk about it? I have no idea. I would bet we might be able to get out to Vegas, though, and find out what their over and under number days are till he signs a contract. You empty both your pockets and tell him to kiss a rabbit between the ears and make the bet.
All right, we're going to take our final timeout and have our final segment. I want to ask both of you about a player, and we'll have some other news and notes, and got to find out what's coming up on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast this week, and looking ahead to next week when Landon goes to Oxnard, right? He's going to be there.
Yep, he'll be there. Yep.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, welcome back.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What happened to balancing your budget with Monarch? Whoa!
Yeah, money's good, and we are good. And thanks for being with us here on the Cowboys Squad Show. The coach, Glenn Stretch Smith, former Cowboys coach, and Marcus Mosher, co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, All right. So, Marcus, before I ask, so what do you got the rest of this week, and kind of how do things ramp up with you and Landon as we get going here?
Yeah, we got another practice today that we'll be covering for Friday's show on the Locked On Cowboys podcast. And they're off a day. We're going to continue to break down all the biggest notes from practice, who's lining up where, who's with the first team, who's with the second team. So make sure you're on the lookout for that. We also want to let you know that Landon will be out at Cowboys camp next week. He's going to be doing some TikTok live videos from camp. Make sure you follow the Cowboys account, Locked On Cowboys, on TikTok as well, where the coach is also at right now.
Yeah,
you can check him out as well.
Yeah, do 2 for 1 right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
I might be looking at it. I ain't posting anything. I can tell you that. This is a baby steps process, fellas. This is a baby steps.
That's okay. We'll get it going. We're no rush, right?
Yeah,
gotta be patient. So you talked about Donovan Ezeraku and a little bit about Tyler Booker. Tell me, what do you know about former first-round pick linebacker Kenneth Murray? Heard he's kind of raised some eyebrows here early out of the gate. A guy that we haven't really talked a lot about.
Yeah. So let's talk about Kenneth Murray. This is somebody who, again, this is my bias. I was not a big fan of him coming out of Oklahoma. You see the athlete. I mean, he's 6'3", 240 pounds, and he can fly. But the reason why he's bounced around the league a little bit is he's got some of the worst eyes when it comes to diagnosing stuff and being able to anticipate where the ball is going. But we should mention Matt Eberflus is one of the reasons why the Cowboys went out and traded for him this offseason. He's got a fairly big cap number, so you've got to assume that Eberflus believes this is somebody that he can fit into his defense. We'll see. I'm not the most optimistic about Kenneth Murray, but if anybody can coach him up to become an average linebacker, it's Matt Eberflus. I trust him just about as well as I do any other coach in the league figuring out these linebackers.
Yeah, I put very little credence into anything until you can see what he can do in pads. I mean, when you're a box player, you got to understand angles and you got to understand how to get yourself in position. So I think he's very talented, and we know he's very talented. Now, maybe he's been in tough systems, or he's been in defensive systems where he had to think instead of just reacting, and we'll see as training camp goes on. This is what personally I don't like, is that you don't have as many padded practices. You don't have inside run. You don't have drills where you can get after it. But I want to see when they get in these joint practices, that's when I want to put some credence into what's going on with inside guys, and whether it's Mozzie Smith or Ezeraku or the linebackers, whoever it is. Let's see how they continue to progress to getting the pads on and getting themselves in position to make those plays.
And Stretch, one of the things that I noticed from practice yesterday, and please, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the only player I saw wearing the green dot on the back of the helmet, which indicates that that's the guy that's getting the play calls into his helmet, is Jack Sanborn. And maybe that shouldn't be that surprising considering Sanborn played with Eberflus in Chicago, but right now Sanborn is your green dot linebacker, and usually that's the guy that never comes off the field. I'm going to be curious to see if that continues through camp, through the preseason, and into the regular season.
Well, I'm sure it's something they're evaluating, right? Let's see how guys are getting the calls. Let's see how guys are making adjustments. Let's see how that progresses. And I'm sure that with him having been with Eberflus, he is for sure the binky right now, and he feels good in that situation. So that's why he's got that on. But you'll have to have, probably multiple other guys that are able to do that, so that obviously you can get the call.
Yeah, and we've seen DeMarvin Overshown right next to Eberflus during these entire practices. Nice. He's got a play sheet with him. I wouldn't be surprised if that's eventually Overshown's role. Probably in 2026, not in 2025, but I do think they ultimately want it to be Overshown, but don't be surprised if it's Sanborn to open the year.
Love that guy. I had a question, Coach. How does that work in training camp where you have the offense going up against the defense. Do Schottenheimer and Eberflus, do they kind of coordinate that, or is it literally, Schottenheimer does what he does and Eberflus gets to do whatever he wants to do?
Well, I mean, yes, they're coordinating it. No, there's no question about it. That's why you have staff meetings at night. Hey, what are you going to do, and what are you going to do in this period? What do you need filmed, and what needs to be all the logistical things that go on. But I talked about this earlier, and I've looked at a little bit of the camp film that's out there, and they are throwing a lot of different looks at the offense. This is just a guess on my part that Schottenheimer is telling Eberflus, hey, during this blitz period or during this whatever team period we're in, make sure you throw anything at us that can help us, whether that's, again, line stunts, whether it's blitzes. And so a lot of offensive coaches, they think that way. Let's see what your most difficult looks are right now, so that we can teach our guys, and we can already start to create some cut-ups and some self-scout of how we're doing things. And so there's no question it's coordinated. And again, I'm not pertinent, and I don't ask anybody in the staff meetings, hey, what did he say or what did they say? I really am one of those guys, and I don't like to know. I like to see it myself and then make an educated guess as to what I think is going on. And I talked to Marcus about this earlier. I do believe that Schottenheimer probably is one of those guys that says, hey, throw everything at us so we can get a look at it right now, and we can get our younger offensive line here schooled up, and we can get everything on film that can help these guys grow. And so that's just my guess from what I've seen so far.
Hey, Stretch, we got a comment here from Marvel Jesus. He wants to know, he said, practice looked like a carnival cruise yesterday. The players are going to walk all over Shoddy. I mean, listen, it's the second practice of the year. I don't want to overreact too much, but I just wanted your quick thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, again, I like that. I mean, you need the band out there to strike up the carnival music. I don't know I don't think anybody knows how guys are going to react until it happens. And I mean, that means players or coaches. We don't know how Schottenheimer is going to do in these situations. And I mean, that's good or bad. I like that. Number one, I like that we got guys asking questions, but number two, dude, let's wait and see how Brian Schottenheimer reacts to all this. You know how I feel about all that bouncing around and all that early energy. Maybe it does light a fire under some guys. Maybe we
need Shoddy to do that before the podcast to get us all fired up. I mean, maybe that's what we need to take the show to another level.
The next time you have that thought, I want you to take your right pinky finger and go to the top right of the keyboard and hit the delete key so that you delete it before it comes out.
Well, just saying, maybe we need a hype guy for our show.
There you go. Hey, Joseph Teal.
You know what? Say it one more time and hit the trifecta, and then I'm going to tell you, hit the damn delete key. Go ahead. Say it one more time.
Well, thank you to Joseph Teal for his comment, by the way, also. Is it, final thought, is it too early to get excited about the CeeDee Lamb Pickens touchdown celebration?
I mean, maybe I'm old.
That fired me up.
I just don't care about touchdown celebrations all that much. Maybe I grew up in the wrong era of football, but I'm just excited when they score. That's all.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, guys, this is a great show. As always, thank you. Again, Marcus, let's give a plug for the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast.
Yeah, download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. I believe we are hitting our 2000th I don't know how to say that. Or a lot of episodes on Locked On Cowboys. I believe that's our Friday episode. Make sure you check it out.
Congratulations, man. That's
Thank you.
outstanding. Well deserved. All the success. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Coach and Coach, we got to check you out on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need any TikTok plugs. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks.
Okay. I'm trying.
Yeah, no, I understand. I try a lot of things too. That's a word I'm trying to get rid of. Tried really hard. I tried so hard.
I can't wait to see Coach doing TikTok dances on the app. It's going to be so great.
Yeah. You are hot as a pistol right now with your delete key. That's it. The right pinky finger hit the delete key before it spews out of the pie hole. That's right.
All right. Love you guys. Have a great weekend, and we will do it again on Monday night. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.